Well, good morning. Well, at least it's morning here. Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Let's see what's going on in, well, I guess it's late spring. Well, it's late spring here in the garden, and we're not doing much but harvesting and weeding. So I thought I'd give you a tour of what's going on since I haven't been making many videos, which is unusual for my channel. Normally the spring is when we really crush it with how-to videos. I haven't really been doing much in the garden though. Life takes over sometimes, and it's been the kind of year where you make plans and they don't come through. So what I'm going to show you today is a thriving garden, but a garden that didn't go quite the way I wanted it to. Let's go take a look around, have a tour. I'll begin with my little raised bed here that has black currant and white currant in it, and they're doing great. They are growing just fine. I'm interested. The black currant here has a different growth habit. It's bushier than this white currant, but I guess that's the way they are. And I have this giant borage plant. This thing reseeds itself every year in this area, so I let him go. It's a good pollinator attractor, but isn't it pretty? It's about to drop more seeds down there. I have to take up about 90% of the borage plants that come up volunteer. Alright, citrus, doing great. Put on a lot of fruit this year, so we're going to have some citrus. They're looking fairly healthy, keeping them fertilized every 3 months. Got some figs coming in over here. Little yellow leaf there. The fig tree's looking good. Check this out, my Barbados cherry, Osceola cherry, has blossoms on it and has little fruits on it. Now this tree dropped its leaves about a month and a half ago, just for no good reason. It just dropped all its leaves, but it blossomed out and is putting on fruit. That's good. That's encouraging. Got to weed these fig tree containers. They got all kinds of weeds down in here. That's just the way it goes. These things are 6-7 years old in those containers and have been frozen back 2 or 3 times. You can see the dead core of the last version of that fig tree. And there we got a little green anole. How you doing? How you doing? That's a female. You can tell by the ridge down its back, the colored stripe. How you doing, little girl, huh? I'm glad you're here. The brown anoles are taking over. Here's my other currants. They're in here as just temporarily till I can get a place for them out front in my yard. Phoebe, hey, what you doing? Phoebe hurt her left front paw. She's gimpy. She's hopping around. And I think she stepped on a citrus thorn. She won't let me look at it. Check out the pomegranate tree. This pomegranate tree came as a gift from Ivy Organics. If you want to support our channel, go over to Ivy Organics, use the code GUMBO10, get 10% off on anything they sell. Ivy Organics, great company, love them. Here's the herb bed. The rosemary's doing great. The sage is going crazy down there. And I've got some thyme in there, a peanut. That peanut just is volunteer. The dill matured, died off, and sent up new growth, and the new growth is blossoming. And I've got some, I think that's marjoram down there, or oregano. That's oregano down there amidst the onions. Real happy with that, couldn't be happier. Gonna have plenty of grapes this year. Muscadines are doing well. And I have not yet seen the grapevine skeletonizer moth, but now is about the time I would expect her to show up, so I got to keep my eyes open. But look at these crazy vines. These vines will grow 30 feet, some of them, in one season. And if you've been around my channel, you've seen me prune these all the way back to little stubs, little spurs like that. Crazy growth. Absolutely insane. All right, let's move on to the annuals. I have been harvesting tomatoes and I have been harvesting cucumbers. Now, I have not allowed my cucumbers to go up a trellis as I intended. They're sprawling. They do just fine when they sprawl. They are more susceptible to disease and they do take up more space, but you know, I just didn't get my trellising game on. And there we got some cucumbers down in here. You can see them. These are pickling cucumbers, and they're ready to pick. Not bad, huh? That will be plenty of cucumbers for a batch of pickles. I have let my indeterminate tomatoes sprawl, and it's okay. You don't have to prune them if you don't want to. The only problem is a lot of sprawling tomatoes, they touch the ground too, which is vector for disease. But sprawling tomatoes, they put on a lot of fruit, a lot of good fruit. Jalapeno's doing well. I showed you in the last video how to pickle these, and I've got a whole nother batch ready to pick. More tomatoes, you can see them down in there. Lots of huge tomatoes, but I'm letting them sprawl, and I'm letting them sprawl because life gets in the way sometimes, and it's okay. You can see that you can let your tomatoes sprawl and they produce for you just fine. Lots of peppers coming in on the various pepper plants. This is a gypsy pepper. It is a delicious pepper. I've already harvested one. I'm waiting on these to get their color. They turn kind of orange. We'll see. And the cayenne, starting to put on cayenne. I love this. When it's nice and red, it's one of the most beautiful peppers. Seychelles beans are still producing heavily, and I have great need to come out and pick these. They are a delicious bean, truly stringless, and they're loaded with beans right now. I want to show you the difference between unmulched garden ground that you use a stirrup hoe in frequently to keep weed free. You can see the dead weeds laying on the surface where I weeded. Same thing over there. I have not mulched this, but I have stayed on top of it, except here's what it would look like if I didn't weed. This was the onion bed, and there are still some onions in there, but I planted my onions a little too close so that I could not weed with the stirrup hoe, especially when the onions started to bulk up. This is what a garden bed would look like with no mulch if you did not use the stirrup hoe. Now that is a night and day, black and white. Stark comparison. Look at that compared to that right next door. Again, stirrup hoe at least once a week, nothing. That is about to get flame weeded. You can see my propane tank over there. I'm just waiting on a new sparker. I lost my sparker. And that won't start with just a flame. You need a hot spark. So we're going to burn it to the ground. And this is where I'm going to put in my cowpea experiment. What I'm going to do is I'm working on hybridizing my two favorite cowpeas, the purple hull pink eye and the gray speckled pallaby. We'll grow them together here, let them cross-pollinate, and we'll keep them, the seeds, and grow them next year, see what we get. Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? It's stark. Here's the leeks, some of which are going to seed. I just wanted to see how these leeks would do in the heat, and they're doing great, man. Some of those are like club-sized in there. Gotta harvest them and make some more that leek soup. That was delicious. Again, letting some of my tomatoes sprawl. Let's cut through here. Here's some more sprawling tomatoes. Lots and lots of tomatoes here in these various plants. And like I said, I've been harvesting, and I've been fighting the animals. As you can see, the bugs have got some of these tomatoes down here. I just dropped them there. There's a ripe one down in there I'll have to come back and get. But you let them sprawl, you're going to get some things like yellowing leaves down in the lower portions there where they're getting their light blocked out. But a sprawling tomato will give you just as many tomatoes as a single vine. If you want to be honest with it, you can let them sprawl. Again, my edox, 2 of them died, 2 of them got cut by cutworms, and that kind of ruined my plans to have the rotating single vine. So again, let them sprawl. Check this out. These are my pollinator attractor and beneficial insect attractors. And I don't know what all these flowers are, but some of them are really beautiful. I like that. It's nice to come and see. All right, let's move on to the fruit. Actually, let's go over here. I got another couple of beds. Look at Lucy. Lucy 3.0. She got nailed by the epic freeze and came back from above the graft, and that's 2 months of growth right there. This citrus tree is amazing. I expect fruit next year. All right, if you followed my channel, you saw that we let our cilantro go to seed, and it makes these seeds here, you can see, called coriander. Once they go to seed, it's coriander. So what we're going to do is let these dry real well, come out here and harvest all these seeds, and we'll have pretty much all the coriander that I'll need probably for the rest of my life, since we don't use a lot of it. But that seed right there, that's coriander. And there is a no good armyworm. We just smushed him. Again, we planted bee attracting and pollinator attracting insect food here. All these plants, including this basil, which has gone to seed. You gotta keep your basil picked pretty good in the around here if you want it not to get skunky. But there you go. That's our pollinator attractors, and doing great. This is the wild crazy goji berry, and I've just started cutting the lawnmower up in there. It grows like wild. And then here I have been harvesting blackberries for the last week, and I've got a lot of them to pick off here. Blackberries, put them in the freezer in a bag, get enough to make a batch of blackberry jelly. Gotta love blackberries. Check out my apple tree. Got some apples. That makes me so happy. If you follow my channel, you know this is my pride and joy right now. This is my golden Dorset. It has 3 apples on it. I've thinned. It dropped a couple of apples. Over time you can see here that it dropped some apples when they were smaller. But yeah, that golden Dorset, that is the companion to my Anna, which is loaded with apples. We had to thin. But I mean, look. I mean, they're legit apples. That one's got a little fault on it there. I've lost a few of these apples to birds, but for the most part, I'm just real happy with what's going on here in my micro orchard. The later apples, they're waking up. I need to shape this one. This is my Reverend Morgan. I need to shape these branches and pull them out a bit more. I need to force a branch out right here this way. That's the Fuji over there. These two are later apples, but my early apples are doing fine, and they're loaded with fruit. Look at this one. This is Shell of Alabama. We've got fruit. These are summer ripening apples. This one, the King David, is a replacement tree, or a new tree. King David, that's a nice form actually, and I didn't do anything to it. King David is a later apple. I've got one out front that has a baby apple on it. Nice, huh? My stone fruit have not given me any fruit ever yet, and they are, well, the plum tree is 3 years old. I expect fruit next year. Had a peach on the peach tree, but it dropped. And then the apricot tree was put in New Year's Day, so it's not expected to fruit for a while, but it sure is beautiful, huh? Yeah, I don't know if these fruit trees, these stone fruits right here, are too close to the house and don't get all the sun they need. I guess we'll have to see. What a shame that would be, huh? We'll see. I had a fig tree right there where that plum tree was, and it never gave me any fruit, because fig trees need sunlight to give fruit. They need sunlight to ripen the fruit, and it never gave me fruit, so that might be an issue. We'll see. Well, there's a little look at the garden, and you can see that you don't necessarily need to have mulch. Mulch is a good idea. If you stay on top of a bare ground garden with cultivation, with a hoe, I use a stirrup hoe, I love it, you can keep your garden relatively weed-free. You've seen what happens if you don't have an area that can, where you don't cultivate with a hoe. You saw that big area right there filled with weeds. That's what happens. You don't really want your garden to be that weed bound. That's a bad circumstance, because the weeds are dropping seeds, they're mature, their roots are deep, and it's virtually impossible to get that section of garden back without using mulch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to burn that whole thing down, and I've harvested all the onions I need out of there that I can get. There's a few scattered ones in there that when I burn it, they're going to smell real good. But I'm going to burn it all. I'm going to rake out what I can rake out. I'll have to mulch that area pretty heavily, and mulch is a good idea in a garden. I don't have a truck anymore. My pickup truck, we donated that pickup truck, and we're down to one vehicle that can't haul mulch. You know, sometimes family life affects your garden, and that's how it's been around here. You've seen what happens when your tomatoes sprawl. They still produce tons of tomatoes, but they will get diseased. I almost guarantee you that all that material, that foliage laying on the ground is going to pick up some sort of disease. We've had diseases in our garden before, so the stuff is already down in that soil. I can almost guarantee it. But hey, that's what happened this year. It's the way it went. We haven't had as many how-to videos this year, mainly because I'm too busy. I've been busy with all kinds of things, and well, that busyness zaps my motivation to work in the garden and do how-to videos. Besides, I haven't really been doing a lot in the garden. The garden's planted. All we've been doing is harvesting and weeding. And then, well, you know how to weed, you know how to harvest. I haven't been doing a lot of container gardening, haven't been doing a lot of grafting and pruning. But I do thank you for watching all my how-to videos that I've done in the past. My channel is doing pretty well right now, and I thank you for that. A lot of you folks have been enjoying my cooking videos and watching what we do with the things we harvest. I'm going to show you some other cooking videos in the near future because we've got a lot of food to harvest right now. So if you like our channel, if you like hanging out with us in the garden, hang around, subscribe. Invite you to subscribe. We'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening to you. Take care.